they want everybody at this age to look lives to look the same. It's just like there are people having kids. I don't want kids.
Right.
At least right now, not for at least another decade.
Yeah,
honestly.
I need a minute.
People want to be married. I don't even think I've met anybody that I could have possibly even tried to marry. Like what?
Well, y'all talk? What you mean y'all talk? Y'all talk fucking? Y'all talk fucking?
Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of Y'all Talk Podcast. Today's guest today is somebody that I've literally been talking to since I first started the podcast. But I really wanted to get her on here because I think that she is well versed in something that I'm not familiar with, which is school in general, and I think that could bring a lot of value, especially to our age group. So I'm gonna let you introduce yourself, basically kind of tell them what you do generally.
Okay, my name is Jalen. I am a third-year college student. I say third year because my grade is undefined at the moment. I am a middle-level secondary education major, but I also work at the Boys and Girls Clubs around the city, and I do a couple other things. I've been vocal advocate for education pretty much since I started high school, which was 2014, so almost 10 years. Oh no, 2016. That was crazy. 2014 is crazy. 2016, which is almost 8 years ago.
So how are you? I didn't really get no casual talking.
Yeah,
I was doing
I'm
stuff,
good.
but...
I was on a rough patch for a moment. I was like on the verge of like dropping out of school.
Why?
It was just so much happening at like one time for me, but I feel like I'm back on track.
That's good. Are you done with school for like the year?
The semester's over, yeah.
So when do you start it? How does that work?
So usually it's kind of like high school, except you go on like instead of your Christmas break being like 2 weeks, usually like a month. So you start school. Some people start mid-August, some people start into August. You get out either before Thanksgiving or before Christmas for holiday break. You go back the first or second week of January. You get out either the last week of April or the first week of May. And then if you do summer classes, they usually start end of May and end sometime in July, either the beginning or the end.
Are you doing summer classes?
I am, yes. I just registered for them yesterday.
Oh, yeah. So you like school then?
I do like school. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say I love school, but I've been in school for so long, it's just like I can't really do life without school.
Right, because it's routine.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'm going to get more into that, but before I even start into the you part, we're going to play the this or that game. So I'm going to ask you 3 questions. You pick a choice, and then you have to say why. Okay? There's no wrong answers. The first one is get locked in a room with a lion, tiger, and bear, or locked in a room with 100 spiders.
I'd say a lion, tiger, and bear. Because first of all, I'm super like terrified of spiders. I can't function.
Let me tell you, there was a spider. You could literally look down there before you came in here. And I said, if we was recording and I seen that crawl down, it would have been over. Literally.
Yes, I'm terrified of spiders. It's literally right there.
Yeah.
I'm terrified of spiders. Like I can't even kill one unless it's like I know for sure it's gonna die.
Right.
Like
I don't like when you look at it and then it disappears.
Yes. Oh my god. That happened to me the other day. I just got up and left my room.
Yeah. No. I was driving to work. I think it was like 2 weeks ago, and one of them like dropped from a web like in front. When I was driving, I swear I had to pull over. I'm like an hour late to work because I called mom. I'm like I can't do this. But I just couldn't find it.
I feel like I'm not saying you have to die in either one of those situations, but if you were going to die, the lion, tiger, and bear would be faster.
A room smaller than this.
Oh yeah, the lion, tiger, and bear would be the faster route anyway.
Right. I would hope that they would fight each other then.
Yes.
Just leave. They don't even worry about you. Literally. Okay, that was my choice too then. Number 2 is know the date of your death or the cause of your death.
I feel like I would rather know the date of my death. I like to have countdowns to things. I feel like I don't want to know the reason I died because then I would just like not do anything that could possibly lead to like ever.
I was thinking that when I was writing, like looking at my questions, I'm like, if I knew the cause, like if it's like get hit by a car, I'm never gonna be in the street ever. They're like, I wouldn't go anywhere. And I'm gonna be like, I'm not coming across the street.
Yeah, so I feel like I don't have a problem knowing when I die. because we all have to die eventually.
Right.
But it's just like the mental trauma of like, this could be the day. This could be the day. I don't. Well,
at least
this
you'll
could be
know,
the reason.
because you're like, I need to do this before this date because
Yeah.
I'm died. Okay, we're 2 for 2. I picked that too. Okay, last one. Would you rather have a job you hated that made you rich, or a job that you love but you always be poor? But when I say poor, I don't even want to say poor, because you won't be like poor, but you'll be like comfortable.
Okay, I would say a job that I love because I'm going into education. We all know teachers don't already make a lot of money, so
Right.
I feel like I wouldn't have as much money as my friends going into nursing or social media, whatever they end up being in. So I feel like your impact on the world is more important than the money that you leave with, because it doesn't go with you. It just stays here. So if I don't make money, I mean, that's fine. I'm going to die without it regardless.
Right. But you're comfortable anyways. And
Yeah.
you love it. Education, I'm going to get into this, but I'm just curious now. So what does that entail though? Like, do you have a goal after?
So for now, I'm a middle level secondary, like I said earlier. So high school social studies is what I want to teach. Eventually, I'll go back to school and get either my doctorate so that I can become a principal, the CEO of a school somewhere, or go back to law school to get my degree in educational law to fight things that would have been like the Brown versus Education, court cases and stuff like that.
Yes, I love that. Okay, so now we'll rewind. I just wanted to know, because I'm like, that's just kept popping up in my head. So I just want to hop into basically like college experience a little bit, just for you personally.
Yeah.
So when did the idea of college come about? Like, were you always one of those people that was like, I'm going to college after high school?
So for me, college was always kind of like pushed towards me as an option because I had straight A's in elementary school. I never really had anything less than like 3.8. I was super smart. I was in the gifted program at a point. So it was like, once you graduate, college should be your option. My mom really wanted me to go to college because she had me before she could finish. I mean, eventually she went back, but it kind of like halted her for a little bit. So college was always an option for me. The year that I would say exactly it became like, there's no way I'm going to do anything after school that's not college, is 5th grade. We did an assignment on like colleges in these states and had to do like research on them and stuff like that. Obviously at that point, what college looked like for me was totally different. I wanted to go to every Pittsburgh kid wants to go to Pitt, Penn State, something like that, Duquesne, and I wanted to teach art. I I am not good at I'm not artistic at all. So as I got older, I started to realize that's not the option. But I would say pretty much all my life, I don't think there's ever been I can't think of a time where college wasn't an option.
Wasn't, right, okay. So whenever you were just on to going to college, I'll say about senior year, did you have like an idea of what college was? And like, did it prove to you that it was or wasn't?
So I've always been the person that's like, college is, so for me, college has been like internalized, like I have to be a college kid, right? So I've always been the person to like push college. Obviously, I allow people to know that there are other options that aren't college. But college was the best, like, the cliche, like the best 4 years of your life.
Right.
This is where you'll make lifelong friends. That's what I wanted college to be. Of course, you graduated in 2020, right?
I did.
Yes. So the pandemic literally like
washed
all of it away. So college was still, it changed my perspective on college, because it was like, if I was not a senior when the pandemic started, I don't think I would have been able to make it through school. Like the pandemic, online learning, I already wasn't good at it in high school in general. So online learning through the pandemic, when that was the only option, kind of like made my intelligence, like the confidence of my intelligence plummet.
So you just, online school is just not.
Yeah, it was just not it for me, but it was the only option. So it's what I had to do to get where I wanted to be. Yeah, so the pandemic, it's hard for us to speak on it because it's like the pandemic changed so many things for so many people, but because we were like we were like literally staring the finish line in the face, and then they're like,
and then it's like
the school year's over, like
right.
we can't bring you guys back, and we're just like, oh,
well, damn, yeah,
okay.
I thought it was a quick little 2 days, but yeah, it's done.
2 weeks turned into literally like the next time I was in a real classroom, I was in my second year of college already.
Right.
So
yeah, I started college right after high school, and the whole online thing made
a lot of people,
I literally could not intake anything.
It's shocking how many people started college, like especially our class, started college straight out of high school and then got to Christmas time and was like, I cannot do that.
Yep, that's exactly how I was. And I'm like, I kept telling myself, I'm like, stick through the online. When you get to go, you'll be fine. Because even my advisors in school, like I still talk to them today, they're always like, I think you would have thrived if you could just go there. And I'm like, well, I didn't.
I lived on campus, and I went to a smaller school. I went to La Roche up in the North Hills. So it was like they put a lot of policies in place to allow us to be on campus. There was never a semester where I wasn't on campus. It was just I was in my dorm room on Zoom classes. So it was like now, not only is it the responsibility of me to wake myself up every morning, it's the responsibility of me to fight the urge to go back to sleep because I'm still in my bed.
Right there.
I'm still in my bed. So yeah, the first 2 semesters of college were very hard for me because it was just like I've never had this much self-responsibility. There's already a major gap in self-responsibility from just going from high school to college, but doing it during the pandemic multiplied it by like 10,
20,
30.
Seriously,
multiplied it a huge amount.
It took a lot of drive, honestly. I feel like, I don't want to say pandemic coming to an end, but it's definitely obviously not as serious now. Did it change anything for you as far as
I didn't make it through the pandemic at La Roche. I left. I couldn't do it.
Okay.
I don't know if it was because the pandemic quite literally ruined the college experience for me, or if maybe La Roche really just didn't work for me. But I'm at CCAC now, and they're still doing the hybrid classes. So a lot of my work is still online. A lot of my classes are still online, and it's like it hasn't really changed. The only difference is I'm coming from home this time. I'm not coming from a dorm room on campus.
Right.
So
they basically had to adjust to online school, and that was just the way it is.
And then it's like it's little things through the school year that it's like, you know, when we were in high school, it was snowing too much. You get snow days, you don't have to come in. But now it's like, because online learning, you're in school every day. It doesn't matter what outside looks like. You're in school every day, unless the teachers are kind enough to just be like, let's just give you a little day.
So what are like the major things that you like about your college experience and then dislike? You basically named your dislikes.
Yes. So I'll start with my dislikes just to like sum them all back up. But the biggest problem was that I was in college during the pandemic. Another reason is because I'm not rich, so I had to make college decisions based on my financials. I wasn't supposed to be at La Roche. I wasn't supposed to stay in Pennsylvania. So I was supposed to go to Central Michigan University, which is a PWI, which is another dislike that I'll get into later. But I was supposed to go there, and it would have either been pay $15,000 in, tuition. I don't know why I couldn't think of the word. $15,000 in tuition every year out of pocket after my financial aid, or go to La Roche where I got a scholarship and pay $7,000, $7,000 to $10,000 out of pocket after financial aid. And it was just like, I can't be one of those people that goes to college, because this was multiple people. Even the people that I knew who were in college before I graduated high school got to college and was like, I can't afford my next semester. Like, I had to come home. I couldn't have been able to do it because I would have never went back to school. So I stayed at La Roche, or I stayed in the city. I went to La Roche, and then La Roche didn't work for me. And it was like, well, maybe it's because of the people that are surrounding me. I really wish I went to a HBCU, because I went to majority Black schools my whole life. I went to Martin Luther King on the north side, which is a majority Black elementary school. I went to Urban Pathways Charter School, which is downtown. It's literally 98% African American. So
it was like the culture switch.
It it was the biggest culture switch I've ever realized in my life. These people are coming from, obviously, La Roche is a very diverse university. They have people who are coming from Europe and different parts of Africa, different parts of South America, different parts of Asia, but they're still white. And what I mean by that is they don't understand, a lot of them, I'm not going to say everybody, a lot of them don't understand the culture that takes place, especially living on campus. I feel like if it was, because CCAC is a PWI too, but you don't have to live with these people. You don't have to eat with them, and then they're looking at you like, why are you walking through the hallways with a scarf? And it's just like, this is just how I have to live my life. Like, if I don't put on a scarf, if I go to sleep, my hair will not look like this in the morning. So it's an extreme culture shock. And it was like I'm biracial, so I grew up around white people, but it's like these white people are different. Like, I don't know what is wrong with them.
Have you made friends or at least acquaintances there?
My friends at La Roche were all Black. So this combines everything I didn't like about college. My friends didn't make it past the first semester. Rather, it was financial, rather the pandemic got the best of them and they just couldn't do school anymore, or rather it was just college that just was like, it was not working for me. So I had a big, like 6 or 7 friends, which is a big friend group in college, especially in your freshman year.
That's a big friend group in general.
Yeah, so it was 6 or 7 people, and then only 2 of us came back after Christmas. So it was like, we still talk, we're still friends, but so a lot of them are from Pittsburgh, a couple of them from like different parts of the state. So it's like the separation between us, like we're still friends, but we barely talk.
Right.
We don't talk every day anymore, so it's just
because it's 2 separate things. It's a different life. That makes sense. Just backtracking to, because you've already told me there was times where you just didn't want to go to college.
Yes.
Like, what keeps you going? Like, is it you know exactly what your end goal is, and it's like what keeps it going?
It's probably the impact, like I said earlier. There's really nothing physical that leaves this world with you, unless obviously put something in your casket, but it's like that still doesn't leave with you. It doesn't leave with your soul. You can't carry it into the afterlife or the great beyond or whatever you may believe in. But the impact that you make is so important because it can be remembered forever. There are people who were alive before our parents were alive that we still talk about. People who, who literally ran or walked so that we can run, right? So it's like, if I have the opportunity, because there aren't a lot of African American female teachers in general, but especially in the social studies field, there aren't that many.
Yeah, so it was always a white male for me.
Yes. Yeah. I had one social studies teacher that was Black. It was my 6th grade year, and then after that, they were all white. But it's about the impact. Like, I really find it, I want to teach older kids, because it's like, there was a point in high school where I didn't think, even though college was always an option, I didn't think I would make it to college because high school was so hard. 11th grade year was probably the hardest year of my life.
Yeah.
You go through things that aren't just school when you're in high school and in college. And a lot of teachers forget that. It's easier for students to understand people, or understand the people they're learning from, if they look like you. They're more prone to listening to you, to understand, to trust you, right? So it's like, I know that I have the opportunity to make an impact like that on people who are going to be just like I was. I don't think I would ever be able to veer off the path, and if I do, I feel like I've always found my way back.
No, that's definitely true though, because honestly, I think that it gives a sense of relatability when it's somebody that you can compare to. When it's completely opposite, it's kind of just like, they got there this way, but that doesn't mean me, because we are nothing alike.
Yeah.
I definitely think if I had a more, I don't even want to say just Black teachers, but even just female teachers, because most of my teachers were just male, I think it would have helped me a lot more.
And it's also like, one thing that keeps me in college is I'm $60,000 in debt, and I'm only 3 years in college.
So it's like, quit now. What did I do this
why
for?
would I'm not going to pay $60,000 for nothing. Even though it's only a paper. And to a lot of people, a college degree means nothing. You went to school. Everybody went to school. Everybody, you know what I mean? So it's just like, I'm not going to pay that much money. I care about my money a lot. So it's like, I'm not going to pay that much money to end up nowhere.
Right.
It makes no sense.
So how do you feel, like, because I feel like usually in our generation, most people are on like the college is not worth it train. Yes. Anytime I ask around, I'm not saying that they're right or they're wrong. It's to each his own.
Mm-hmm.
But does that make you feel any type of way when people say that like just college just isn't worth it at
all? Well, okay, so I have a lot of friends. A lot of my friends now aren't in college at all. So it doesn't irritate me when people who are my age say college isn't worth it, because you've either tried it already or you've experienced enough to know it wouldn't work for you.
Right.
But what I don't like is when people try to, what's the word, convince younger kids
that it's not
worth it, because it's like, I feel like every opportunity after college should be opened up to everybody, regardless of what you look like, regardless of how you identify, regardless of any of that, all those social constructs and whatnot.
Right.
You should be able to pick what you want to do after you graduate. You want to go into the workforce, you don't want to do anything, you want to go to college, regardless of what you want to do, it should be your option. So
right.
it irritates, that I'm not going to say it pisses me off, but it irritates me when it's just like, yeah, I didn't go to college, so you shouldn't either.
Right.
That doesn't
it's pushing your
sense.
Experience on someone who hasn't experienced it yet.
Yeah,
Definitely. I do, because even though obviously I dropped out, so it's kind of just, I think it gave me.
Let's not say dropped out. Let's say you left.
Okay, I left. Because that has a negative connotation when you say dropped out. But I left. I decided not to continue college.
And it just doesn't work for people like that.
It just didn't. And honestly, sometimes I usually think, like I always do that, well, if COVID didn't happen, would I have stayed? Like that's just that. I always think that. But when I look back, I just kind of look at it as like a learning experience. Because what I was going for information technology. I love computers. I loved everything about it. But in that time, I only literally went, it had to be less than a semester. But I realized, I'm like, this is not what I want to do. Like, I need something more creative. So, like, I'm glad I went. I'm in debt still from just that little bit of time. So, it's like, that is a negative. But I think it taught me, because I would just went through with something that I didn't want to do. But definitely, I think I just used that not to push people away from college. Like, I'm never the type of person that's like, no, I hated it. I couldn't even do it. But like, I'm more understanding of people that are like, I don't want to go to college. Yeah, and it kind of gave me best of both worlds.
The hard thing about college is it's not something that you could just try and be like, oh, I don't want to do this, because it costs money, and it's expensive most of the time, unless you're going to CCAC, which for some people, depending on your financial circumstances, is still expensive. So it's not like it's something, it's hard because it's a commitment, regardless of if you go the full 4 years, if you only do 2 and get your associates, if you go for a semester and be like, this is not working, it's a commitment. You're committing your life to something for at least a small period of time. So you have to know 100%. So I'm not upset about when people, like my sister is graduating this year, she's not going to college. I'm not upset at her with it, because it's just like, I know the commitment and the amount of faith you need to have in yourself to go and do that. But it's just like, I would love it a lot more if people got the opportunity to try it without having to worrying about
other people's advice and whatnot. And the price, that's what really sucks about it, is that seems to be like the main thing that pushes everybody away from it.
And it's hard. The college process is so hard. It's unreal.
If I didn't have my advisors in high school, I don't think I even would have lasted the couple months that I did there.
Yeah, the college process is so hard, and even now it's starting to get harder. I mean, I don't really know if it's starting to get harder or easier, because a lot of stuff is transferring to online. The pandemic just completely flipped the world on its 180 axis to make a lot of things happen online. A lot of the college process happens online now, which, depending on what type of person you are, that either makes it super easy or a lot harder. And even back to the financial point of things, there's some people who can't afford like Wi-Fi and things like that to do college applications. They're FAFSA, which don't even get me started on FAFSA. All of that at home. And then even during the school day, there's not a lot of time to do stuff like that, because you're in class all day. So the college process is hard, and it's long, and it pretty much starts the first day of your 11th grade year. It might even start the first day of your 9th grade year, and it goes until you graduate college.
So I was doing a little bit of research, and I had read one of your posts. I don't remember when it was. It was a little bit ago, but it was saying basically that you don't know, like, you can't be without school, which you said in the beginning. Like, without school, you just have no idea what's going on. So I wanted to ask, wanted to exercise your brain a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Without school, who are you?
So I have things outside of school that I do, but it's literally like everything that I do connects back to school in some way.
Mm-hmm.
I'm working to pay off student loans, right? I'm in the Boys and Girls. I work at the Boys and Girls Club because I want to start a career in education, and it's what made the most sense to embark on that path, right? So literally, in almost the most literal way, like I don't think I'm anything without college. And even when I was in high school, it was like I'm just so like when I wasn't in school, I didn't like school. I mean, I like school, but I don't love it. You know what I mean? So it's like a love-hate relationship. But it's like I don't go to school. Like those 2 weeks they closed us for the pandemic, I'm like, I'm gonna be so bored. Like, what am I going to do? So I feel like obviously like I'm still fun and I'm young and I do all those things, but it's just like
school correlates with everything for you.
Yes, it's just like I don't think I can describe myself outside of college me, which is going to be hard because eventually college is going to be over.
Right.
So,
but honestly, I think that's even a question that you should ask yourself.
Yes, it's something that I need to start figuring out.
Because it's like realistically, at least in my opinion, just how I view stuff, it's like nothing physical or around you in general is promised. You could lose it all tomorrow. I feel like that shouldn't let you lose your sense of self. Yeah. So I try to ask myself that often. I don't got answers. I ain't saying I really do because honestly, I don't. I'm like, I don't know what I would be if I didn't get to create stuff. Like it would be bland.
Yeah. Nothing. So it is something that I really need to start thinking about because I only have 2 years until I graduate, which seems like a lot of time, but it's not really that much time. So, yeah. It is something I really need to think.
Look, I'm gonna wait like 3 years and be like, hey, you got the answer to that question. I really wanted to get to because we had mentioned we had emailed in like January, but a lot of the stuff that you were interested in talking about, I'm like, this is the stuff I like to talk about. So I did want to say when I was on your social media, even like when you post general stuff, like just as a person, like I normally would, you can tell that you're put together. Like basically anything you talk about, it's just like you can clearly tell you're dedicated.
Thank you.
Of course. And I did want to say that I'm not going to talk about this now, but the sports stuff, football, stop.
I do need it.
Because I be ready to download Facebook because I be on the Safari because I don't have the Facebook app. But like your posts always pop up when it was like game days, and I'm like, I need to get on my game. Like I need to start being here and giving debates. Like that's what it was giving. But I did want to tie that basically into we had talked about like public images and people's personal brand. So I wanted to basically have you break down like what is your view on people's public images, like what type of things affect that and how important it is.
So I feel like in like the social media age, it's kind of hard to separate the way the world views you and then the way you are projecting yourself to the world, right? So everything that you could do in your power to make sure the world sees you the way you want to be seen doesn't always work, right? So you can be the most put together person, right? Like you said, I'm put together, I'm very passionate. I literally feel like I literally probably break down like 3 times a week. Like my life is falling apart. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Like, oh my God. But it's all about the way you project that to the world, right? I don't, I'm a crier, but I never cry in front of people because I have to build that wall for people to, because already being a girl, a lot of people don't take us seriously when it comes to serious topics, right? So it's like I have to put up that wall and let people know that I don't play.
Right.
I will cry, but I also will, take things there if they need to be taken there, honestly. So I feel like public image is really important because a lot of people use social media, even the people you don't think.
Right. And you never know who's looking.
Yes.
Honestly.
Jobs will check your social media pages.
Yes, please. So, I really do. That is such a good thing to know. And jobs
like
will check your public social.
Yes. Scouts will check your social media. Colleges, college admission offices, even though you may not think they will check your social media if you're coming into their university to represent a certain thing, right? An athlete, if you want to be, in fraternity or sorority, if you want to be on their even like debate team or something like that, they're going to check your social media probably because that's where you display who you are. That's the whole point of social media. So
it basically gives them that.
It's super important. Public image is super important.
And I think honestly, a lot of people look at, this is gonna sound weird, but people look at social media too much as just a social media.
Yes.
Like that's really what it is. I don't think that people think of the degree, like the amount of information people can get from you just from looking at your social media.
You have to think of how many people, I know not recently, but a couple of months ago, sometime in the new year, this girl got expelled from her university because a video had made it to social media where she was like saying the N-word. And I think she had like admitted to like blackface or something like that. So it's like people do check your social media even when you don't think about it. So everything that you put out into the world, even if it's not on social media, even if it's just you walking down the street, you should try to make it positive because obviously there are some things that could be flipped and look negative even if they're not, but you should care about what people think about you because quite literally, if you act like you don't care, people are going to think that and it will reflect in your life.
Yeah. So do you think, with that being said, in a way, authenticity is like a
authenticity is key to
on social media?
Everything. It's a downfall on social media, which is why the social media age is so hard to navigate through because it's like, I like to call us a developmental generation, right? When we were in middle school, early middle school, late elementary school, social media didn't exist. But it's like when we got to high school, it was like, it was almost like a switch of how fast social media progressed during our lifetime, right? So we're the lucky generation to know what both sides of the fence look like, but the kids after us don't. Anybody that's really like 4 years younger than us don't really know what it's like to live life without social media. So it is the downfall of social media, but there is ways to be authentic and still, like, it's a time and place thing basically. It's like there's just some things that you just don't do. So,
and that's with anything, not even just
media. That's anything. There's time and place for everything, and you have to find the balance. You have to know when and where that time and place is.
Yeah, and I like that you mentioned that it's not really just social media. Like, even if you're walking down the street, you're still representing your public image in a way.
Because people are paying attention even when you think they're not. You have to think about how many times you were walking down the street or you got home from somewhere and people were like, "Oh, I seen you today," but you didn't see them at all.
And you didn't see them at all. Yes.
So it's like you have to think about that everywhere you go.
You have to assume that you're being watched all the time.
All the time.
Because you are.
Literally.
So do you feel like there is a point where trying to maintain your public image can interfere with you being yourself?
Yeah. So I think I'm not too prone to like social media influencers and stuff like that. Like, I don't know. So when social media was first a thing, I didn't really like to be on social media, obviously because I was like 12, but I didn't like people. Like, when you think about it, it's like you have to think about how much social media lets people into your life.
Yeah.
Especially when your life is social media, like social media influence, celebrities. I look at celebrities every day and be like, that could never be me. Yes. I don't want to be in public and be surrounded by 50 people at once.
And cameras and everything.
Cameras and everything. Take a picture of everything I do every time I'm outside. I don't like that. So a lot of them have to change the person that they are because people are literally watching them all the time. Yeah. And even for just people like us who normal Pittsburghers, the normal Pittsburgher walking down the street, it's like, if there are certain people watching your page and you know they're watching, even if you don't know they're watching, you think they're watching, you need to, it's hard because it's like, if you work in a professional setting, but outside of work, you're like out of control, out of this world, like there's a lot of stuff happening for you, you need to control it. So even though that may not be you, you have to, there's just sometimes you need to make sacrifices for certain things.
Right. And I think that, I don't know, because even with this, like starting to do the podcast, my first thought was like, I'm going to have to let people hear how I feel about certain stuff. Yeah. And I'm like, even that is like a little too close to comfort. Like, I always like to be very secluded. Like, I always think to myself, someone has to actually meet me to know who I am. Like, I always tell myself, no one can actually know who you are just by looking at your social media. But then I had to learn, like, as I started getting into, because I like to break stuff down. So like my Instagram, like some people will be like, oh yeah, I'm on Instagram. I got like 200 likes. But like I'm the person that's like, okay, I got this many an hour. This means this percentage of people are watching my stuff. Like I turned into one of those and it started to fester. So I think there was a point in time where I don't want to say portraying myself as someone else because I never was. Like who I am on social media is just me, like unapologetically. But I do think I will alter it. Yeah. Like I would, like anyone, you can't see this, but you can see this, which I never realized, but I feel like that was giving people a different view of who I was completely because I was lacking the part where I showed the bad a little bit. I do think there's a overstep of that. Like there's definitely
a thin line between what you should show and what you shouldn't show, but you shouldn't just show all the positives because it's then like people think you're this great, put together, super well on track person, and you could literally like be falling apart. Not saying you're falling apart.
No, seriously though. And then it's like you give them this idea of you,
and then they meet you and be like that.
And that makes you feel horrible. And it's like, well, wow, I thought I was being myself. Like, am I this bad? But that's because you were giving no balance. So I definitely think it's easy to fall out of being yourself on social media. It's definitely one of those.
Like even me, like there's things that I will say in real life that I wouldn't be able to put on social media because of the people that I think are watching my like pages and stuff. There's some times where I go to like type posts on like Facebook or Snapchat or whatever and then be like, I can't say this on social media. Like that's crazy. But there are some things like I post about my college struggles all the time because I do post the good things. I posted when I graduated high school. I post when I get good grades. I post when I pass finals. But it's like if I don't post when I'm failing classes, when I feel like school isn't working anymore, then people are always going to think that I'm just this so well put together person. And if it ever does get to a point where I do have to leave school on like a more permanent thing, because I've taken gap semesters before, but like if I have to like completely drop out of college, then it'll be like she was so well put together. Like what happened fast? When in reality, it's really been a roller coaster ride the entire time.
Yeah, definitely. Well, you do very well with showing both. Honestly, in my opinion, you do. But you did already touch on this, but I kind of want to get a little more in depth with it. You said that you feel like with our time that we're in, like our age group specifically, we kind of have the bigger switch as being on like social media more and whatnot. How much more of a pressure do you feel like it is for us specifically, just because everything on social media is broadcasted compared to those who?
So, the unfortunate thing about us being that transformational or developmental generation that I called us earlier is people don't realize how much of our lives need to be on the internet or need to be technology based, right? So when we were in elementary school, a lot of our work was pencil and paper, but it's like now a lot of our work is typing on the computer and submitting it to like through a Google Doc or through a Microsoft Word. So it's like our parents, my mom does this a lot. Like if our Wi-Fi moves down for a little bit, or it's like if the storm knocks the power out and the Wi-Fi's off, I'm literally losing my mind. Like if my phone dies while I'm in public, I literally lose my mind. My mom's like, Jalen, there's no way in the world life is that hard without a phone. I went 30 years without a phone, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, Mom, you don't understand how much of my life is on this phone. Like every single like credit, debit card I own is on my phone. I don't carry my wallet. And if I do, it's because I need like my ID or something.
Yes, I'm an Apple Pay person.
It's like every mode of transportation that I could possibly take back and forth to anywhere is on my phone. So if this phone is dead, if I don't have it, if it's broke, my life is literally, I can't get through it. Right. So it's like, it is a pressure for us because I think a lot of people older than us don't understand. Like, yeah, you went this many years without a phone because smartphones didn't exist. So it's like, even if it did, I'm pretty sure it would be the same for you as it is for us. It's just unfortunate that it started with us and not you. Well, it's not unfortunate for me because I love my phone, but I literally can't survive without it. But it's just like, my mom doesn't understand. It's like, I literally don't have any other option. So I am going to lose my mind if the Wi-Fi isn't working. I am going to lose my mind if my phone is broken because it's like everything on, even my like insurance cards, my vaccination card, it's in my Apple Wallet. So it's just like, yes, I'm going to go crazy if I don't have it.
Then they don't have
so yeah, I feel like the pressure is hard on us, but it's not because like we're weak when it comes to life without technology. It's like people don't understand how much technology is in our lives.
Yeah, it's a dependency at this point. But
Yeah.
I mean, it can be bad.
Yeah.
But because me personally, I can go without my phone.
I can't. Oh like, my God, I literally can't.
I'm the type of person, like I was just saying the other day, I'm like, I need a week or at least a weekend of just no phone, no electronics, and just be out. Like, and I don't know why, because everything is on my phone, literally. Like everything I do has to do with being on my phone or being on some type of social media or any of that. But it's just like, that's what makes me not want to be on it. Yeah. I feel like I started to get addicted. I'm like, I'm dependent on it now.
It's like, I cannot be on social media. I just took a 2-week break from like Instagram, Facebook, and all of that. But it's like, it's even the little things that you don't realize that you're using social media for, like TikTok. I'm on TikTok all the time, and I really forget that TikTok is a social media. I honestly forget that TikTok is social media. So it's like, so do I cannot. I tried to delete TikTok. It's hard. I can't do it. And I was one of those people at first but like right when they had changed it from Musical.ly to TikTok, I'm not downloading that. Yeah. I can't have that on my phone. Yeah. Like I don't want that. And then I downloaded it when they closed the schools for the pandemic because I really had nothing else to do. And there hasn't been a day since that I haven't been on TikTok because I cannot do it. Just sometimes like for things like that, if you're not like actually interacting, going back and forth with people, like obviously you're watching videos, but if you don't comment and like stuff all the time, you forget that it's a social media.
And I don't. I'm like one of those. I'm like, oh
my
God, that's so funny.
I'll share it. Page. I don't like seeing, like I follow the people that I follow because I like to watch the videos. So sometimes I'm not even on my For You page. I'm in the following page. Like,
I never for hours. I'm literally not in the following page because I know those people, and then it makes me feel like it's more of social media. Yeah. I'm like, no, I can't see you.
I don't follow anybody.
I know you.
Like, pretty much anybody that I know in real life, I don't follow you on TikTok unless you like send a video. You know how when you send a video to somebody, it prompts them to like follow and watch. That's the only time I decline that. If you're sending videos back and forth, but I cannot do like I honestly forget that TikTok's a social media. Even like iMessage. Like iMessage is like the most social thing on your phone. Like you have to conversate for iMessage to work. So it's just like I forget that I use it every day.
Yep.
Every hour of the day. So I just forget.
Heavy on that though. So what are, just for you personally, like what are some of the pressures you feel just generally based off your age?
I feel like a lot of people expect me to be like a lot more put together than I am. Not saying that I'm like falling apart like I live a terrible life, but a lot of people want me to be like on that route of like, I'm gonna finish college, there's no other option, which changes every day. I literally was just like 2 weeks ago, like I don't want to go to school, I want to drop out, I'm done, like I can't do it. And then I just registered for summer class yesterday. So a lot of people want me to be perfect because I am a first generation college student. To be honest, and I have a large family, but not a lot of them went to school. So it's just the pressure to be like, I have such high expectations from my family. So it's like I'm pressured a lot of the time to be at a further point in my life than I am. I feel like from society though, it's like a lot of people expect me to be like, you know, like normal 21-year-olds, like she drinks too much or she parties too much, which I feel like I don't do. I don't party that often.
And if you do,
it's like I'm 21 years old. Like what? So it's like a lot of people just want you to be like, they feel like this is the age for you to start getting perfect, and I don't think. You got to think on like on a mental level. Like our brains don't even fully develop till 25. So why at 21 are you expecting me to be like, yeah, this is where I'm going to be?
And when you turn 21, you have access to the most social, which is like stuff like Carson and bars and clubs and stuff. That's the most social time. And humans are social beings. Like to be social, even if you're antisocial.
And then there are people who are like my age. I went to school with them that are like married with kids by now. And everybody is kind of like, when are you going to get to that point? Like the kids. Girl, I got like 9 years. I got like 9 years till I want kids. So I don't know.
Yeah, you got a while, but that's what I think. That's something honestly that puts the pressure on because it's like so many of my friends are having kids. They have their life, and nothing against them at all. Like my friends are great people, no matter what their life situation is. But it's like I have friends that do that. But then I also have friends that are just doing what the
Like
fuck they
Hassan.
want. Yes, and then I
Hassan
have
is
friends
a
like
mutual friend
that.
between us, by the way. Oh my God, he's literally like, I think he just signed a contract with the military for like 10 years. It's like I don't even want to know.
How are you devoted? Like, how
I
do
don't
you
even know what I
know?
want to do tomorrow. How are you planning out 10 years of your life?
And that's the crazy thing is he's a perfect example because
he's an amazing human being, by the way.
yes, very much so.
But
it's like
10 years
he
of your
knew.
life?
He said that. He started like, yeah, I'm probably gonna go to the Air Force. And it was so casual.
Yes.
I'm like, okay, but then he's gone. And now he's somewhere else.
And he's
and
so
now you're in
passionate
London
about it, which I love. And it's like he's progressing through it so well, but it's just like
I just know there's pressure in that
signing
too.
a piece of paper that says for the next 10 years of my life I'll do this. I don't even think I would do that for the next 10 days. I cannot do it.
10 hours.
I feel like the biggest pressure, it's not even really pressure, but the biggest misconception is that they want everybody at this age to look lives to look the same. It's just like there are people having kids. I don't want kids.
Right.
At least right now, not for at least another decade.
Yeah,
honestly.
I need a minute.
People want to be married. I don't even think I've met anybody that I could have possibly even tried to marry. Like what? Marriage is not something that's in my, even probably the next 5-6 years of my life, maybe, but not right now. Have a steady, stable job. I changed jobs like last year. I had like 7 jobs. That's how often I change jobs.
You switch them out.
I can't. It's just like there's certain things that get me to certain points, and I just can't do it no more. So it's just like not everybody is living the same life. Just let us live. Honestly, that's what I want people to. Older people, younger people, whatever. Even kids are like, dang, Jalen, you switch jobs a lot. And I'm like, the kids in my job are like,
like, oh, new job?
He's got a new job. And I'm like, I just cannot be. I'm a person that if I get bored with something, I'm not going to do it anymore. So it's like I've been at this job for 6 months. Honestly, you didn't show me anything that I'm not going to see anything new. So it's just like it's time for me to go.
Right. So how do you cope with your pressures, like your stress in general? And do you have advice for people who might not, are just going through it with the pressure?
So I do affirmations, but I don't do it the way people do it. I don't stare in the mirror and say to myself. I literally just say it out loud, like, I got this. I'm doing well. Like, regardless of what people think, like, there are a lot of people who look like me don't make it to where I am, honestly. So it's just like, I got it. I'm good. There's really nothing anybody, like, I say that a lot. You'll get like, oh, if we hung together, you would hear me say, like, there's really nothing anybody can say to me. Like, there's no point. There's not any aspect of my life that's like in the toilet right now, honestly. So it's just like my biggest affirmation is like there's nothing anybody can say to me that will hurt my feelings right now. So like let it be what it is. I cry a lot. I said that earlier, but I do cry a lot. I don't cry to other people, though. I cry to myself. Right. It's okay to cry. I don't know why people think it's so terrible. It's like I cry every day, honestly.
Like you gotta let it out.
You gotta let your feelings out. And I'm the type of person that doesn't talk to people about things that really, really bother me. So it's just like if I'm gonna talk to a person I know is gonna listen, me.
Right.
Like honestly. So it's just like I talk to myself about things, I cry about things. I also have distractions, which isn't always a good thing. I party. I'm 21 years old, so I do party, but that's not a healthy distraction. Right. There are things that are also unhealthy distractions, like school. I put a lot of the stuff aside when I'm in school, and then all of that stuff just crashes back into me at a later point. So you have to really find balance when it comes to coping with your distractions.
Definitely. I'm real simple. I eat.
Yes,
I like food comfort. I really do. But I think lately, at least, like it took like a little switch, but just reminding myself, like I'm always in the back of my head, and I'm always like, just change your perspective. Like that's been like my motto lately, because it's like I started to look at pressure as more of like a motivator instead of like something that's like weighing down on me. So it kind of just it gives me that put my foot on the gas type of mentality. But other than that, like I always try to find coping stuff. I just do stuff I like or keep myself busy, like the going outside. Yeah, I'll just stand outside. If the sun's out, I'm just
outside.
I'm in there like just little stuff like that.
And then like obviously like there's things that change throughout the year, right? So I love to swim, but obviously you can't swim all year round, especially outside pools. So, in the wintertime, a lot of my, distractions come from school or whatever. And then in the summertime, it's like, oh, I'm going to the wave pool.
Right.
I feel like shit, but the wave pool's gonna make me feel better. So.
Okay, and then just to end it off, what advice would you give to someone who, I don't want to say is having the same experience as you, because yours is your own, no one else can have it, but just someone who's in a similar boat, in that like kind of basically at the finish line of school, ready to take next step, but still have everything going on at once?
I feel like I would say take it one step at a time. All you really have is today. Like yesterday happened already. Tomorrow's not promised. So all you really have is right now. You just need to worry about how you feel in the moment. Don't worry about what decisions you make today, how they're gonna affect tomorrow, because like I said, tomorrow's not promised. So anything you really do only really affects you in the moment. So take your time. Do not rush. If you feel like you need a break, give yourself a break. Mental health is one of the most important things to me. I cannot do anything. I said in a post before that, I took the decision to leave school because I can't help anybody before you help yourself. So take it one step at a time and make sure that you're okay before you and you need to put yourself first. We're at a point in the world where being selfish is the most important thing, because if you don't worry about yourself, you don't have time to worry about other people.
So before we wrap it up, I like to, at the end of every episode, ask my guests what you feel like people should be talking more about.
I feel like people should talk more about, obviously, the misconceptions of this transfer. Like 21, 20, 19, they're all transformational ages, because you're transferring from high school, which is a completely different ballgame than the real world, right? So it's like, this is when you'll start to move out of your parents' home. Some people don't, which is fine, but you start to move out, you start a life of your own, a family of your own. So it's like, I feel like people need to discuss more of those processes that you go through at this point, so it's not hard for people to understand, because it's like one of the scariest things when you graduate is like, I don't know how I'm going to navigate the real world, but it's really not that bad if you're just going with the flow. And I feel like a lot of people don't discuss that enough. Obviously, education is super important. I feel like we're at a point in our lives where people are just kind of like, I'm ready to get out of school. Like, don't do that. Honestly, after you graduate, if you are not on a path to somewhere, your life will spiral. It will spiral fast. Yeah, I feel like that's it. Like, the things that don't seem as important, unless you're in college or whatever, really should be talked about. Like, I feel like any topic of any, just talk about everything, honestly. You have to find balance in everything you do. So you should want to know a little bit of every part of everybody around you.
So I do want to thank you for coming. I'm glad that we got to get it done, because I was like,
it's been months, literally.
Yeah, I look back on my email and I'm like, there's no way, because I just knew it was gonna be a great convo. But no, I did enjoy talking to you. You are so insightful. You really are. I do. I love it. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe, and then I will catch you guys on the next episode.
What you mean y'all talk? Y'all talk talking? Y'all talk talking?